The same door they slammed in your face will one day be the door they're afraid to knock on, and when they finally do, they'll be terrified of losing you again because you're not the same anymore. Folks, think about that for a second. Life has a way of flipping the script when you least expect it. The people who once thought they could walk away without consequences, who believed you'd always be there waiting with open arms, suddenly find themselves coming back, this time scared to lose you for good. That's not a movie plot, my friends. That's real life. That's human psychology. And today, we're going to break down exactly why they come back begging, why regret hits them harder than they ever thought possible, and why this time the power is in your hands, not theirs. Hey, folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse on a stormy night. They thought they could sail to calmer waters, to brighter harbors. They left your shore thinking the world out there would feel warmer, safer, better. But as the waves crash and the winds twist around them, they realize something. It wasn't the harbor that kept them safe. It wasn't the tide or the calm waters. It was your light, you, the steady glow in their chaos. And when that light is gone, when you stop shining just for them, they start to panic. They start to wonder why the warmth they once took for granted now feels so far away. Here's the lie you've been told, my friends, that if you just explain yourself, if you just show them how much you care, if you just keep proving your worth, they'll come running back. But that's not how it works. People don't come back because of explanations. They come back because they feel the absence of your energy, the glow you built without them, the power you found in your own silence. They come back because the version of you they left behind no longer exists. And that terrifies them. Let's be real. When they left, they bet against you. They assumed you'd stay the same. They thought you'd wait, checking your phone, replaying memories, stuck in the same chapter they walked out of. And for a while, maybe you did. Maybe you sat there wondering what you did wrong, imagining them laughing with someone else, thinking they'd forgotten you. But that version of you, the one who begged, the one who settled for breadcrumbs, is gone now. You've changed. You've grown. You've become the man they never believed you could be. And that's when regret hits the hardest. Not when you're crying for them, not when you're texting late at night. Regret stings when you're no longer available for free, when your silence becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. It's when you stop waiting for them and start building for yourself that they finally see what they lost. My friends, here's the truth. Power comes from self-respect, not revenge. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to rise so high that losing you becomes their biggest fear. You become rare, untouchable, unforgettable, not because you tried to impress them, but because you finally chose yourself. So right now, I want you to say this out loud with me. I choose my power. Write it in the comments below. Show me, show yourself. Show the world that you're done handing out your worth for free. And as you type it, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and stay with me. Because in the next part, I'm going to break down exactly why they come back begging, and how this time you'll be the one deciding if they stay. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay rising. Number 1, they bet against you and lost. The cruelest mistake people make is thinking the version of you they left will still be waiting for them when they return. My friends, that's the truth nobody tells you. When someone walks away, they often gamble on one thing, that you'll stay the same. They think you'll wait. They think time will freeze for you while they explore their options. They bet that when they come back, they'll still find the same person who once made them feel safe, adored, and in control. But life doesn't work like that. You're not a paused movie they can press play on. You're a story still being written. And if you choose to grow instead of wait, by the time they return, they'll find that the version they left behind no longer exists. Imagine this. You were once like a beautiful garden they visited whenever they pleased. They thought they could leave for seasons and still find it the same. Flowers blooming, gates open, waiting for them. But when they finally come back, they don't see that same garden anymore. They see a towering forest, wild and unrecognizable, a place they can't just walk into like before. And in that moment, fear creeps in. Not just fear of losing you, but fear of realizing they already did. The first thought that hits them is shock. What happened? When did they change so much? Then comes the fear. What if I don't fit into their life anymore? That fear is powerful, folks, because regret doesn't hit when they see you hurting. It hits when they see you thriving without them. But let's break one of the biggest lies you've been told, that they left because you weren't enough. No, they left because they thought you wouldn't become more. They assumed your best version had already peaked. They believed they could outgrow you. And maybe back then they were right. Maybe you were too available, too forgiving, too desperate for their attention. But that version of you, he's gone now. Here's the hard part, though. Choosing growth over waiting isn't easy. At first, you'll want to hold on. You'll want to check their profile, wonder if they miss you, replay every memory just to feel close to them. You'll feel like moving on means losing them forever. But that's the trap. Because as long as you stay in that space, they never truly lose you. They can walk away, test other waters, and still feel like you're right there, waiting to be picked again. Fear will scream at you. What if I move on and they forget me? What if they're happier without me? What if I never find someone else? Those thoughts crush your chest like invisible weights. But remember this, fear is a liar. It thrives on convincing you to stay small, to stay still, to stay the same. And that's exactly why most people never grow after heartbreak. They choose waiting over evolving. But the tables turn the moment you choose differently, when you stop being predictable, when you stop orbiting around their choices and start focusing on your own. That's when everything shifts, because people don't regret losing someone who waits for them. They regret losing someone who outgrows them. Think about it. If you stay the same, they come back feeling confident, knowing you'll take them back. But if you grow, physically, mentally, emotionally, they come back feeling nervous, doubting themselves, realizing they're no longer guaranteed a spot in your life. And that doubt, that's what flips the power dynamic. There's a reason why silence and self-improvement work better than begging or explaining. Words can be ignored, but transformation can't. They can scroll past your messages, but they can't scroll past the person you're becoming. They can dismiss your feelings, but they can't dismiss the fact that you've built a life so full they no longer fit into it. And here's where it stings for them the most. They thought they had time. They thought they could leave and come back whenever they wanted. But time changes people, and the longer they're away, the more they realize they're not walking back to the same door they left through. That door is gone now. You built a new one that might not even have space for them anymore. I know it's hard at first. You'll have days where silence feels heavy, where growth feels lonely, where you wonder if it's all worth it. But think about the alternative. Do you really want to be the person who waits forever? Do you really want to keep a seat open for someone who walked away? Or do you want to become so undeniable that even if they come back, you're the one deciding if they stay? Say this out loud with me right now. I refuse to stay the same. Type it in the comments below. Show me, show yourself, show the world around you that you're done being predictable. Because when you choose growth, you flip the script completely. The very people who thought they could outgrow you become the ones begging for your presence. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going deeper into the power of silence, the move that doesn't just confuse them, but makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. This is where regret begins to grow roots. And trust me, you'll want to know exactly why silence shakes them more than any words you could ever say. Number 2. Your silence was louder than words. Sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. My friends, here's a truth that will hit you right in the gut. Chasing someone after they've left only tells them they made the right choice. Every text you send, every call you make, every little just checking in message, it all feeds their ego. It reassures them that you're still orbiting around their world, that they can walk away and still have you waiting in the shadows. But silence, oh silence, flips the entire script. Silence is the one thing they never expect from you. It's the move they can't control, can't predict, can't dismiss. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Picture this. You've been the sun in their world for so long, shining every day, warm, dependable, always there. They never questioned your light. They never even had to look up to say thank you because they knew you'd always be there. But then, one day, your light is gone. The warmth is missing. The constant glow they took for granted has vanished. Suddenly, the world feels colder, emptier, lonelier. And that's when they realize your presence was never as replaceable as they thought. At first, they might not admit it. Pride will keep them posting pictures, laughing louder, pretending they're fine. They'll smile in public while wondering in private, why haven't they reached out? Do they even care anymore? That curiosity eats at them slowly. And curiosity, my friends, is the seed that grows into doubt. And doubt is dangerous. Because doubt is what makes them scroll your profile at 2 a.m., what makes them wonder if you've moved on, what makes them panic when they realize you might actually be happier without them. But let's be real, choosing silence isn't easy. Everything in you will want to break it. You'll stare at your phone, fingers hovering over the keyboard, typing and deleting, typing and deleting. You'll want to post something cryptic to remind them you still exist. You'll convince yourself that one message won't hurt, but every time you break your silence, you give them relief. You reassure them that they still have a hold on you. And that reassurance is exactly what keeps them from truly regretting losing you. We've been told a lie for far too long, that love is proven by presence, that if you care, you must always show up, even when they don't. But that's not love. That's codependency. Real love for yourself means knowing when to walk away quietly, when to protect your peace, when to let your silence speak for you. Because silence doesn't just remove your voice, it removes their power. Think about it. They expect the meltdown. They expect the desperate message. They expect the closure conversation. They expect you to fight for what's already gone. But you don't give them any of that. You vanish. You stop showing up. You stop being an option. And when you do that, you create something they can't handle: mystery. People crave what they can't figure out, and when your presence is no longer guaranteed, you become valuable in a way you never were before. Imagine they're scrolling through their phone. They see your name, but there are no new messages. They see your profile, but you're not posting for attention anymore. They wonder where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. That wondering. That's where the regret grows. Because now you're no longer predictable. You're no longer theirs to access whenever they please. You're rare. But let me tell you this, it will hurt at first. Your silence will feel heavier than any message you could send. You'll feel like you're losing, like they're forgetting you. But you're not losing. You're winning in the quietest, strongest way possible. Because while they're out there seeking validation, you're building something real. You're reclaiming all the energy you used to pour into them and putting it back into yourself. And here's what makes silence so powerful. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts. Without your presence, without your reassurance, without your attention, they finally have to face what they've done. They don't get to distract themselves with your validation anymore. And slowly, they start to feel the emptiness they thought they'd never feel. People don't chase what's always there. They chase what disappears. They chase what they thought they could replace, but couldn't. And when you master silence, when you combine it with self-improvement, with growth, with building a life they no longer recognize, you create the perfect storm of regret. But this isn't about revenge. This isn't about playing games. This is about choosing peace over performance, restraint over reaction. Because every time you choose silence, you're telling yourself, I'm done begging to be seen. I'm done proving my worth. I am my own validation now. Say this out loud with me right now. My silence is my power. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're no longer afraid of walking away in peace. Because silence, my friends, isn't weakness. It's strength. It's the move that makes people realize they've lost something they can't replace. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about the one thing that makes silence truly unforgettable, your evolution. Because silence confuses them, but transformation, that haunts them. And when those two collide, that's when they come back begging, terrified to ever lose you again. Number 3, the glow-up they never expected. The most powerful kind of revenge is to become someone they don't even recognize anymore. My friends, let me tell you something that flips everything on its head. People aren't afraid of losing you when you stay the same. They're afraid of losing you when you become someone they can no longer reach. And that happens when you heal so deeply, grow so much, and rise so high that even they wouldn't know how to approach you anymore. Imagine this for a second. You were once like an old familiar song they could play anytime they wanted. They knew every lyric, every note, every beat. You were comfortable, predictable, safe. But then one day, that song changed. The melody evolved. The lyrics no longer fit the old story. It became something new, something powerful, something they couldn't just put on repeat anymore. And that's when regret hits, because they didn't expect you to grow. When they left, they bet on one thing, that you'd stay the same. They assumed time would pass, and they'd still find you waiting, still hurt, still hoping, still thinking about them. And for a while, maybe they were right. You were stuck. You were replaying every memory, wondering if they missed you, hoping they'd come back. But then something shifted. Instead of staying frozen, you started moving. You started growing, and that's when everything began to change. Growth is uncomfortable. It means waking up earlier than you want to. It means training your body when it feels easier to stay in bed. It means facing your demons instead of running from them. It means sitting with your pain instead of drowning in distractions. And most people won't do it. They'd rather stay the same, stay safe, stay predictable, but not you. You chose differently. The moment you stopped waiting and started building, you became dangerous in the best way possible. You stopped posting for attention. You stopped seeking validation. You stopped thinking about how they'd react to your progress. Instead, you started building quietly, brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. And that's what makes the glow-up so powerful, because it's not about looking better just to make them jealous. It's about becoming better so completely that jealousy is unavoidable. Think about how this looks to them. They left you expecting you to fall apart. They expected to see you stagnant, predictable, still hurting. But instead, months later, they hear your name, see your photo, or catch a glimpse of your life. And they freeze. Because the person staring back at them doesn't look like someone who'd ever wait for them again. You're different now. You're sharper. You're more focused. You walk like you know your value. And that's the one thing they never thought you'd do, realize your worth without them. But let's be honest, growth isn't glamorous at first. There will be days where it feels pointless, where you wonder if all this work is even worth it. You'll doubt yourself. You'll miss them. You'll have moments where the silence feels unbearable. But remember this, every step you take toward becoming better is a step away from the version of you that would have taken them back without thinking. Every ounce of discipline you build is a brick in the wall that separates you from who you used to be. And here's the part that makes growth so powerful. They don't see it coming. They expect you to post sad quotes, to message them late at night, to show them that you're still hurting. But instead, you vanish, you work, you build, you heal. And by the time they notice, it's too late, because the version of you they remember is gone forever. There's nothing more haunting to someone than realizing they had access to you when you weren't at your best, and now they no longer qualify for the person you've become. That's why growth is the ultimate power move. Because it doesn't just make you better, it makes them face the brutal truth that they gave up on you right before you became everything they always wanted. But here's what most people get wrong. They try to grow as a performance. They hit the gym, hoping their ex sees it. They post stories to make them jealous. They do all the right things, but for all the wrong reasons. And that's not growth. That's still chasing, just in disguise. Real growth is silent. It's internal. It's you choosing to become better, whether they see it or not. And that's what makes it so powerful, because when the glow-up is real, you don't need to show it off. It shows itself through your energy, through your confidence, through the way you carry yourself without needing anyone's approval. Say this out loud with me right now. I rise in silence. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're not building to prove them wrong. You're building to prove yourself right. Because the truth is, when they see the new you, the comparison begins, and that comparison will hurt them more than anything you could ever say. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about why scarcity creates value, and why your absence, your unavailability, is what makes you unforgettable in their mind. This is where their fear of losing you forever truly begins. Number 4, scarcity creates value. People don't chase what's always there. They chase what suddenly feels out of reach. My friends, here's a truth that stings. When you were always available, they didn't fear losing you. They thought they had all the time in the world. They believed no matter what they did, no matter how far they wandered, you'd always be there waiting. That's why walking away felt so easy to them. But when your presence disappears, when your energy is no longer free, that's when panic sets in. Because now they're faced with something they never imagined, losing you for good. Think of it like this. Imagine walking through a market where someone is handing out free diamonds. At first, it feels exciting, but after a while, because it's free, it loses its meaning. You don't value what costs you nothing. But the second that person packs up, the second those diamonds are gone, suddenly everyone wants one. Suddenly, the thing they ignored becomes the thing they can't stop thinking about. That's exactly how human psychology works. Abundance makes people complacent. Scarcity makes people desperate. When you were always available, you gave them comfort without cost. They knew your door was open. They knew your attention was free. They knew that no matter what, they could reach out and you'd be there. And because of that, they didn't appreciate it. But when you pull back, when you take your energy away, when you no longer show up for someone who stopped showing up for you, something shifts. What was once taken for granted becomes rare. And rare things always have value. But let me be honest with you, pulling back isn't easy. Everything in you will want to reach out. You'll want to remind them you still care. You'll want to break the silence just so they don't forget you. But that urge, that need to be seen, is exactly what makes you lose your power. Because the more available you are, the less value they place on you. We've been told this lie since forever, that if you want someone to love you, you must always show up for them. That constant presence equals loyalty. But loyalty without respect is just servitude. If someone feels like you'll always be there, they have no reason to treat you like a priority. They'll treat you like a backup plan, like an option, like someone who will always pick up the pieces when their other choices fall apart. Scarcity is what changes that. Scarcity is when you finally decide that your energy is valuable, that your presence is a privilege, not a right. It's when you stop handing out pieces of yourself to someone who didn't fight to stay. And when you do that, when you remove yourself completely, they start to feel it. At first, they'll pretend not to care. They'll laugh louder, post more, act like they've moved on. But behind the scenes, they'll start wondering, why haven't they reached out? Are they over me? Are they seeing someone else? That wondering turns into doubt, and doubt turns into regret. Because now they're realizing that the version of you who would have taken them back without hesitation doesn't exist anymore. And here's what really flips the script. They don't just miss you, they miss the control they used to have. They miss knowing you'd always be there no matter what. They miss the comfort of having you as their safety net. And when that's gone, when you've completely stepped back, that's when they realize they're the ones left behind. It's basic human psychology. People place the highest value on what they can't easily have. And right now, if you're still chasing, still posting for attention, still leaving the door cracked open, you're not scarce, you're predictable. And predictable isn't valuable. Think about the relationships in your own life, the friends, the people, the moments you only truly appreciated once they were gone. That's exactly how they feel about you when you finally pull back. Because nothing haunts someone more than realizing they lost access to something they always assumed would stay. But scarcity isn't about playing games. It's not about ignoring someone to manipulate them. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, your time. It's about no longer showing up for someone who stopped earning a place in your life. Because every time you give yourself away for free, you're teaching them that you'll always be there. But when you finally stop, you teach them something far more powerful, that you were never as replaceable as they thought. And that's when fear starts creeping in. Fear that someone else will get to experience the new version of you. Fear that they'll never get another chance. Fear that the door they left open has been closed forever. And that fear, that's what makes them come back begging, hoping you'll still let them in. Say this out loud with me right now. I am rare. I am valuable. Type it in the comments. Show me. Show yourself. Show the world that you're done being someone's free option. You're done being taken for granted. You're done being the person who waits while someone else decides. Because scarcity isn't weakness, it's power. And when you combine scarcity with real growth, with real change, with real evolution, that's when you become unforgettable. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about the mirror effect, the moment they see who you've become, and the comparison to their new life hits harder than anything you could ever say. This is where their regret goes, from silent doubt to painful realization. Number 5. The mirror effect hits them hard. Regret doesn't start when they miss you. It starts when they compare what they have now to what they gave up. My friends, nothing stings more than the moment someone realizes the person they left behind is no longer the same. That's when regret hits, not because of anything you said or did, but because of what they see. People don't expect to face that mirror. They think they'll come back to the same version of you, still waiting, still hurt, still willing to forgive them. But instead, they're confronted with someone entirely different. Someone sharper, someone stronger, someone who no longer fits into the old story. Imagine it like this. They're standing in front of a mirror that doesn't just reflect who you are now, it reflects who you were back then. They see two versions of you, the old one they walked away from and the new one they never believed you could become. And the difference between those two versions? That's the wound they can't ignore. That contrast is brutal because it forces them to admit something they never wanted to believe, that leaving you was the worst decision they ever made. When they left, they thought they were upgrading. They thought life would be better somewhere else. Maybe they found someone new. Maybe they convinced themselves they'd be happier. But here's the thing about comparisons. No matter how much they try to ignore it, the mind always remembers what felt real. And when the person they're with doesn't give them what you did, when the chemistry feels forced, when the connection isn't the same, they start to look back. At first, it's just curiosity. I wonder how they're doing. But then they see you, your energy, your growth, the way you carry yourself now, and that curiosity turns to something far heavier. Because they're not just looking at you, they're looking at themselves. They see the version of you they once had access to, and they realize they'll probably never get it back. And that's what destroys them the most. It's not just losing you, it's realizing they lost you right before you became everything they wanted you to be. That realization is what haunts them. It plays in their head at night. It creeps in when they're lying next to someone who doesn't make them feel the way you did. It whispers in their ear when they're smiling in photos but overthinking in private. But let's be real, you don't get to this moment by trying to prove a point. You don't get here by posting flashy updates, trying to make them jealous. That's still chasing. The mirror effect only works when you grow for yourself, not for their attention. Because the glow that comes from real growth is impossible to fake. It shows in your eyes, in your body language, in the calmness of your presence. It's not about being louder. It's about becoming undeniable. The reason the mirror effect hits so hard is because it takes away their excuses. When they left, they told themselves stories. It wasn't the right time. They weren't ready. It wouldn't have worked anyway. But when they see the new you, all those excuses fall apart. Because now they have to face the truth. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because they assumed you'd never grow. And now you've grown so much that you've become unreachable. That's when pride starts fighting curiosity. Their pride screams, "Don't look, don't care, don't admit you miss them." But curiosity is louder. It makes them check. It makes them ask around. It makes them wonder if you've moved on, if someone else gets to experience the person they didn't appreciate. And the more they look, the worse it gets. Because the more they see, the more they realize the new you is someone they might never get close to again. But here's the secret. This only works if you've truly changed. If you're still the same person they left, there's no power shift. The mirror just shows them why they walked away in the first place. That's why growth is everything. That's why silence is everything. You don't tell them you've changed. You make it so undeniable that even their pride can't lie about it. Imagine this. They're out with their new person, laughing, trying to convince themselves they're happy. But then your name comes up. A friend mentions you in passing. A picture of you pops up on their feed. And just like that, they freeze. Because for a split second, they're not comparing their new life to the old version of you. They're comparing it to the new version. And that comparison, it hurts. It stings in a way they'll never admit out loud. Because here's what really kills them. They start asking themselves questions they can't escape. Did I give up too soon? Was I wrong about them? What if they're happier without me? And the most painful question of all, what if someone else gets the best version of them, the version I never had the patience to wait for? Say this out loud with me right now. I outgrow the old me. Type it in the comments. Show me. Show yourself. Show the world that you're not waiting to be chosen. You're becoming so undeniable that they can't help but compare. Because when the mirror effect hits, it doesn't just remind them of who you were, it shows them who you are now, and that person is no longer within their reach. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about the moment curiosity turns into fear. The fear that someone else will experience the new version of you. The fear that they've lost you for good. And that fear, my friends, is what makes them come back begging. Number 6. When curiosity turns to fear. Curiosity makes them look back, but fear makes them act. My friends, at first, when they see you evolving, it's just curiosity. They wonder what you're up to. They scroll through your profile quietly. They ask about you through mutual friends. They think about you late at night when the room is quiet. But curiosity is harmless until it becomes fear. Fear is the moment they realize they no longer have access to you. Fear is when it finally hits them that the door they once left open no longer exists. And you've built a whole new life without them. Picture this. You're a castle they once lived in freely. The doors were open, the lights were on, the space was warm and familiar. They could come and go as they pleased. But now, when they look back, the gates are closed. The drawbridge is up. The castle is taller, stronger, guarded, not against them out of bitterness, but because you learned that not everyone deserves access to your peace. That's when fear kicks in, because they realize someone else could now walk those halls. Someone else could experience the version of you they never valued. That fear is powerful. It eats away at their confidence. It makes them question everything they thought they knew. What if they've moved on? What if they're happier now? What if someone else gets the best version of them? These questions start as whispers in their mind, but soon they become screams they can't ignore. Because the truth is, they expected you to wait. They expected to always be the one you couldn't let go of. And now, they're faced with the reality that you're no longer theirs to come back to. Here's the part that stings them the most. They believed they could always be the main character in your story. They thought they'd have unlimited chances to leave and return. But when you stopped orbiting around them, when you stopped centering your life on their presence, you rewrote the entire story without them in it. And when they finally realize that, fear becomes real. But let's break another lie we've all been told, that fear of losing someone will make them stay. No, fear of losing someone only matters when that person has grown so much they no longer need to be chosen. If you're still available, still chasing, still posting for attention, there's no fear, there's comfort, and comfort kills desire. That's why silence and growth are so effective. They remove the comfort that kept you predictable. Think about how people act when they feel they're losing something valuable. They panic. They act out of desperation. They reach for what they thought would always be there. And that's exactly what happens when they finally realize you've changed for real. Fear makes them act. Because now they understand that every second they wait, every day they stay silent, someone else could be stepping into the space they abandoned. And the more you grow, the more you become this rare, untouchable version of yourself, the more they feel that fear, because deep down, they know they don't deserve the new version of you. They know they walked away when you weren't at your best. They know they left before you became everything they wanted you to be. And that guilt, combined with fear, is a powerful mix. It's what makes them reach out, what makes them try to test the waters, what makes them beg for your attention in ways you never expected. But here's where your power lies. Fear only works in your favor if you don't feed it. The second you reassure them, the second you validate them, the second you give them the comfort they lost, the fear disappears. That's why staying disciplined is everything. Because you're not growing to get them back. You're growing to make sure you never need them again. And it won't be easy. You'll have moments where you want to reply, where you want to post something to remind them you're still around, where you want to give them a small taste of your attention. But every time you do, you're giving away the very power you've been building. You're putting them back in control of the story. Instead, you stay quiet, you stay focused, you keep building your life without looking over your shoulder. Because the real power isn't in making them afraid, it's in becoming so fulfilled that their fear no longer matters to you. Say this out loud with me right now: I create my own path. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're no longer living to be chosen. You're no longer hoping someone sees your worth. You're creating a life that's so full, so strong, so undeniable that losing you becomes their greatest regret. Because here's the truth, fear is just the start. Once fear takes over, they'll come back, hoping the door is still open. But stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about the moment they return, and how everything changes when you realize you're not the same person they left behind. That's when the power truly flips. Number 7, they come back, but you're different now. The greatest shift in power happens when they return and you realize you no longer need them. My friends, this is the moment everything changes. For so long they thought they could leave and come back whenever they wanted. They believed you'd always be the same person they left behind, still hurt, still waiting, still hoping they'd return. But when they finally come back, they're met with someone they can't even recognize anymore. Someone sharper, someone stronger, someone who no longer shrinks just to be loved. It's a strange thing for them. They show up expecting the same warmth, the same safety, the same open arms. But instead, they find calm, they find boundaries, they find a version of you that doesn't bend anymore. And that calm terrifies them more than anger ever could, because anger means you still care. Calm means you've moved on. Think about it. They left you assuming they'd always have the upper hand. But now they're the ones nervous, unsure, hoping you'll give them another chance. And you're no longer the man who would have taken them back without hesitation. Because through the silence, through the pain, through the growth, you became someone who finally understands his worth. And here's the real power. You're not standing there bitter. You're not seeking revenge. You're not trying to prove anything. You've built a life so full that their return doesn't shake you. Because you finally realize that love isn't about who stays or who leaves. It's about who you become, regardless of what they do. This is where you win. Not because they came back, but because you've outgrown the need for them to. You're standing in front of them now, not as the person they abandoned, but as the man they can't afford to lose again. And, for the first time, the choice is yours, not theirs. Say this out loud with me right now. I choose who stays. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that this time you're not waiting to be picked. You are the one who decides. If this message hit you in the soul, if you felt that fire in your chest, knowing it's time to rise, then commit right now to never shrinking again. your silence, your growth, your power. It's all proof that you don't have to beg to be loved. You become so undeniable that they have no choice but to see it. So choose your path, keep rising, keep building, keep becoming, because the real win isn't their return. It's knowing that you didn't just survive losing them, you became unstoppable because of it. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay rising. This is your era, this is your power, this is your time.